over the break, I did a lot to Birdie, but just to one side so I can show you how I did it. I decided that after looking at some Finch pictures, I really liked the ones that had just a little teeny crest on the back of the head. So I did that the same way I did the beak, just gradually pulling the clay and smoothing it out. I added an eye. I added a line for inside of the beak. And I did some carving away to give the illusion of the wings. I still have to add a tail on the back. I still have to hollow it out and make a base. But let me just go through with you a couple of these steps quickly on the other side, because I only did this on one side so I could show you how to do it yourself. To make things look three-dimensional, you have to do a little bit of carving, okay? So the eye, for example, pretty simple. I start with, well, where's my eye? Okay, I kind of had a mark before, marked out with this tool. And if I look at both sides, yeah, that looks about even. Okay, instead of adding pieces on, a really nice way to get some dimension is to carve away. So I'm going to carve around the line that I made, essentially digging deep to get that started. Now, if I dig really deep, it's going to look like he has bags under his eyes. I don't want that. So I'm going to dig a little bit and then kind of smooth that out. And then that's still, that's not finished. That side's a lot rounder. Pretty, okay? So I'm going to make this side a little bit nicer by smoothing that rough edge. And it works best with a clean, dry finger, okay? And if I want to make it pop out a little bit, since it's such a small area, if I want to make it a little bit round like that, that one kind of pops out. I can add probably just a little bit of slip to it. And if I had some fresh clay, oh, I got a little piece right here. You don't want it to be super dried out. I can probably get that to stick, just adding a little bit with some slip. Okay. Since my clay is still nice and wet. If your clay is dry, getting bone dry, this isn't going to work. Even if it's getting pretty leather hard. Right now, we're still in kind of the beginning stages. So I can, and since it's such a small piece, I can kind of add that on. Smear it around. And then the edge of the eye is kind of harsh still, so smooth that. All right. And then I always like to check for symmetry, okay? So does that eye look fairly symmetrical to the other eye? This one I can see there's a little bit of a flat plane that I made right here. So this one's more of a divot. I'll just kind of smooth that out. I don't recommend using slip when you're smoothing because it just adds more work. It's easier with a clean, dry finger. If your fingers aren't clean, if they're full of dried up clay, you're going to make more scratches like I just did. So another thing I can do is use a clean tool and kind of go in very gently. Not so much removing clay, but just smoothing it out. And then I'll use my thumb to smooth that out. Okay, so eyeball. not super detailed. I'm not going to put a pupil in there and all kinds of other stuff. I'm just going to keep it that round shape. And it looks pretty symmetrical. That eye might be a little bit bigger. Smooth that back into the head a little bit more. Does your bird have eyelids? I don't know. You might have to look at your picture. My bird didn't really look like it had much for eyelids. Okay. I did a line to show the beak. So I'm going to continue that to the other side. And I can use my thumbnail because it's long enough. But if your thumbnail's not long enough, you can always use some kind of a tool. And if you don't have a tool that you like, something as simple as a paper clip works great. I love a paper clip for clay projects. Let's go in and put that line in there and then smooth it out. There we go. Okay. So I have my beak, and I can look at this side and go back. This side, so slightly, the smaller the beak on the bottom is indented a little bit. So I'm going to do that on the other side too. Indent. Okay. And just the smallest details like that in form make a big difference. All right. For now, I'm happy with the head. I can go back and add more later. Let's talk wings. When I put these wings on, I drew the basic lines first, and then I did some carving away. It looks like I put big wings on top of here, but I actually didn't. It's a trick. It's relief carving, okay? So on this side, I drew out the lines already because I wanted it to be symmetrical. So I have my lines drawn out. I use a carving tool to draw where those wings are going to end up. Okay, this is a top wing, kind of a bottom wing, and then what you do is you carve underneath them. Okay, I'm going to do the top one first. So this is the wing. The wing's going to pop out more. So down here, right next to it, I'm going to carve away. I don't know what the best angle to show you that is. Maybe like this. I'm going to carve down. Whew, went a little crazy. You don't have to carve that much. But carving into it. Now this is all bumpy and looks kind of ridiculous. So I'm going to go back and smooth that out with my finger. Smooth, smooth, smooth. All right, I've got a wing. And it's popped out, and I didn't add it on, okay? And then you do the same thing with the bottom wing. Under. Carving down. Like so. I carved that a little deep. Has a nice shadow. That's a wing. It's sticking out. I'd smooth that out a little bit. Okay. And then you can stay like that, but on the other side, I have the wings carved just like I did, but then I've got these little tips added on here. Super easy. We've got our first wing. We're going to add a tip right here and then another tip right there. You don't want to slap on a whole wing because it's going to come off in the kiln. Trust me, I've done it. Doesn't work. Thought it would work. Thought I could break the rules. It didn't work. So we're just going to add a little tip. So all I need, set Birdie down, is a little clay that's fairly fresh and tip of wing shaped. I don't know, triangular-ish. Thinner, not super thick. And I'm going to end up putting that here. So we need some slip. I'm going to put some slip on one side of this tip and some slip on the end of this wing. And I like to score, make some scratchies. I'm just going to stick that right on there. Yeah. Right now, the piece of clay that I put on is the same amount of wet or the same amount of dry as the bird itself. If this little piece were super dry and I tried to stick it onto a bird that's really wet, they'll stay together for a little while, but they won't stay together for a long time. And vice versa. If I tried to put on a really wet piece of clay on a super dry bird, they're not going to stay together forever either. They will stay together momentarily. You'll think everything's fine. And then when they dry out, they'll crack apart. So just be aware of that you want pieces of clay to go together that are similar in moisture. All right, so I got that one. Look at that, not hard at all. And it kind of comes up like the other side. We got these little wing tips. And I can put a little wing tip right here too. Slip on there. Grab a little bit more clay. I might even make this one kind of small. That'll be fine. Okay. I'm going to take that piece and push down and just blend it in to the rest of the wing. So I haven't added a whole wing. I've just added the end of it, the tip of the wing. All right, I've had a problem with my videos getting a little bit too long. So I've added some detail, some form. Oop, I just slid my wing off. Slide that back. I think what I'm going to do now is just clean this up a little bit. And then we have a few more things left to do. We have to add the hole through it. We have to make a stand. We're going to do a little more with the tail. We have to work with balance. And then there's texture. But because of time, we're going to cut this video short and you can skip to the next video. And before you come back to the next video, I'm just going to do a little bit more cleaning up and making this look a little better, smooth it out, get any clay debris off and fingerprints and dents. Oh, and since my bird is now kind of taking on a birdie shape, I like to keep an extra lump of clay wrapped in plastic so I have somewhere for Birdie to sit. Oh, he's so comfy there. There we go.